just stop it already? I mean, really. This whole green bubble, blue bubble thing, and I'm not going to turn this into a rant. I mean, I could be found to be a liar here in a minute, so that might be possible. It seems that there was some stuff going on the Twitters, and it seems every once in a while this pops up, because if you're wondering what I'm talking about, if you have an iPhone, you know. If you have an Android, you're probably like, what's the big deal? Because at the end of the day, if you have an Android phone and you send messages to people, they get them. And if you have an iPhone and you send messages to people, they get them. Are there benefits to having iMessage as opposed to regular text messaging? Yes, there are. But also with Google Messages and certain platforms on Android, now you can use RCS, which is basically the same thing as iMessage. So let's break it down fundamentally and talk about it. What is iMessage and what is a regular text message? Well, a regular text message or SMS or MMS multimedia message uses the phone signal to send a picture. And traditionally, it was limited to 160 characters. And there is compression that goes on when you send a picture, when you send a video clip, things like that. If you've ever wondered why somebody sent you a video clip and it looks like something off of a 4-inch screen from 1986 trying to watch Total Recall, and it's like, what are all these pixels? I can't tell what's going on. I just hear noise. Well, you probably tried to send somebody a text message on or using an Android phone. And then you have your iPhone brethren, and they're like, oh, well, I can send all this basically uncompressed video. I can send a 3-minute video clip. I can send all these pictures. I can send books that are 5 million characters long and it doesn't cut it off. I can send these great multi-person group chats, and it's like everybody's hanging out in the same place, and we can react, and we can use our emojis, and we can use our little exclamation stuff and make balloons pop up on the screen. That's because iMessage uses the internet. It's a secure end-to-end messaging platform when you message each other, and it works over the internet. It's basically like the ultimate text iteration of voice over IP phones. If you remember, if you grew up in the world where you had pay phones, if you had a phone at your house, you picked it up, it had a cable attached to it, that used a hard line to send a signal to talk to somebody with a dedicated phone line somewhere else. And then they changed that. We discovered voice over IP, which is an internet-based usage of making phone calls. This same transition is happening right now in the cell phone world. So now we use the internet, and you have basically a virtual phone number assigned and set up to your desktop, which you can make phone calls that way. It's really cool. They even have phones that use the same internet service. So we made a lot of changes in the technology over the years, and even now with the phones, that's why 5G has been a big deal, because you've got the old 2G and the 3G signals. They're being repurposed, they're being shut down in 2022, 2023, and we're migrating to an only internet-based phone call. So soon, you're going to pick up your phone and make a phone call, and it's going to be over the internet. So hopefully you got a good connection, because if you don't, it probably isn't going to work right, and I have concerns about that. But when it comes to this green bubble, blue bubble, it's very simple. If you have an iPhone and you send someone a message and they have iMessage as well, it shows up blue whenever you get the little bubble, the chat bubble that you're talking to them in. Green is for Android. Green is the color of the Android logo. It's basically synonymous. So if you have an iMessage and you message somebody, you get the 3 little dots that pop up. You can see that they're typing. It's exciting. We actually have that with RCS messaging now. The problem is that the two platforms don't talk together that way. So you could be using a Pixel 6 with RCS and talking to somebody on iMessage using, talking to somebody on Apple using iMessage, and you're not going to get the bubbles. They don't pop up when you talk from one to the other, and you're still going to get that compression when it comes to the video. iPhone users are at a loss the same way when somebody with an Android phone sends them a message, because it has to default to the phone signal. That's why when you go on certain planes, and that's why I like to have my iPhone when I go on Southwest, you can use their free in-call Wi-Fi, and you can connect and talk to people that way, because it sends data and messages over the internet instead of an analog digital signal that your phone would use for the SMS or the MMS protocol. So there are a lot of nice benefits to having iMessage. There are a lot of nice benefits to having RCS messaging, or using WhatsApp, or using something that uses the internet, because the internet, there's been this big push over the last decade to try and get it anywhere, everywhere, as fast and as far as we can. We went with 2G, 3G, 4G, 4G LTE, 5G. It's everywhere now. And now we've got 5G UW, UC, all these different millimeter waves, so you can get the 1,000 megabit per second connection, and you get it. There's some really cool benefits. It's going to really benefit us even more as we get these future technology applications. But There are people who look at this blue bubble and green bubble thing and go, oh, green bubbles, oh, that means that, I'm not going to get the 3 dots, or they're not going to be in the group chat. There are limitations. That's because Apple designed this, and no fault to them on their own. That's how things typically work. This is like, iMessage is like the new version of BlackBerry Messenger. And everybody used to be cool, back in 2006, 2007, like prime pin-based messages, BlackBerry message technology. If you didn't have that, you're like, oh, I can't send you a BBM. I can't BBM you. That was cool back then. Now it's iMessage. There is like this era of elitism for the longest years that I think is largely kind of eroding now. For the longest time, it seemed like, oh yeah, they have green messages. I don't even want to message them. I'm not going to try and include them in a group chat. I'm not going to send them this. I know that a lot of people don't think that way. I don't think that way. I haven't. I never really understood this. And I was talking to someone earlier, and he's like, what's the deal? Why are people talking about blue bubbles and green bubbles again? And I'm like, well, it pops up every once in a while, and people just go to town with this, blue versus green mentality. People, when it comes to blue versus green, you're losing out on 2 different things. One, you're losing out on consortium, talking to people. You want to be able to express yourself and communicate in the best way possible. You don't want to have to download third-party apps. I get it. iMessage is great. I wish there were a universal platform built into all the phones. Maybe one day we'll get RCS on iPhone, so that way it'll default and flop to that when you talk to somebody on Android, so you can get the same kind of experience. We want to be able to talk to each other. We want to be able to communicate. We want to be able to send what we want to send. I don't really send a lot of pictures or videos. It doesn't hurt my heart if I don't have a phone with iMessage. I use phones interchangeably. One day I could be using the Z Flip. One day I'm using the Pixel. One day I'm using the iPhone. And I appreciate the phone for what it brings to the table. I don't have a second thought over the messaging. I can turn off iMessage and pop my SIM card in another phone. I don't lose any heartache over it. If I want to send somebody a message or a video clip, it's over Twitter, Instagram, whatever. There are so many different third-party ways and so many things we use. Social media is a huge way that people can communicate, and you get a lot of the same benefits. You still get notifications. You can go in. It's so easy to share. How many times do you download something, go to iMessage, and then send it? Most people just send the link for somebody to click on it straight from the app. So I think that there's a lot of this, that there's some pent-up animosity, there's some pent-up frustration, there's some level of elitism, and there's a lot of barriers to communication in this conversation. And ultimately, we shouldn't have that, because phones are designed to talk to people. We may have forgotten about that, but when you used to pick up a phone, it was to talk to someone. And we've gotten so comfortable with the idea of sending a message and expressing ourselves with gifs and videos and emojis. Words are lost and voice is lost. And as you add those different levels of expressionism, you lose out on the human element of just talking to somebody. So, hey, if you're worried about it, pick up the phone and call somebody instead of using iMessage or sending a text message. Make them uncomfortable and talk to them that way. Then they'll send you messages all day long and they won't care, because you just won't be calling them. I know people who have anxiety over that. You get anxiety over somebody phone calling you randomly. They're like, why are you calling me? And then they won't answer the phone, and they'll just go to text you like, oh, you tried to call me. Yeah, it's funny. I remember a time when we used to have to pay for text messages. I remember with AT&T back in the day, I had a 400 message plan, and they would charge you like 10, 20 cents for each additional text message, and you got charged for sending a text message and receiving one. So you're like, man, I'm loading up those 160 characters. So you could... Text messages now are so short, you might not even think about it and send 3 text messages rapid fire like that. Where back in the day, you would want to try and fill up all 160 characters to get your entire message across, because if you just sent a smiley face, well, that might have just been a 10-cent smiley face you sent to somebody with no context. So the world has changed, communication has changed, and ultimately what we want to do is have uninterrupted, unimpeded communication with the people we want to talk to, and we want to be able to express ourselves in the best and most ultimate and fun way possible. We love gifs, we love memes, we love sharing links, we love social media. That's why social media is so great. You can send stuff, and without even saying a word, you can express humor and send a message to somebody just by copying a dumb picture with some words on it. So maybe we can forget about this blue message and green message stuff. Maybe one day we'll finally move on from that. But for right now, there's still some frustration. There's still some electricity energized in the air between those types of charged conversations where it's like, look, I have a text message capability on my phone. If I send you a message, you get it. I don't really care. I have an Android phone. I'm going to use it as much as I want in any way that I want. And I think there's much more premium phones out there than just being able to have a phone that has iMessage. iMessage is just a way that Apple can lock you in and you can never leave. So that's all I've got in this video. Be kind. Enjoy talking to each other. If you have problems with green and blue bubbles, find another third-party intermediary. Use WhatsApp, use Twitter, use Instagram, use DMs. Talk to the people you want to talk to and enjoy it the most that you can. We're only here for a short time, so let's find a great way to talk to each other in a way that we're able to express ourselves and communicate in a way that everyone's happy with, you feel respected, and you enjoy. That's ultimately what everybody wants. So no more green bubble, no more blue bubble, and please get it off my Twitter feed because I don't want to hear about it anymore, and so help me if it trends again. Good gosh. Anyway, that's all that I got. So hopefully that explanation helped. You understand why green and blue bubbles matter inside these certain social circles. And you're probably thinking, why am I even talking about this? Who cares? I haven't put a second thought into it. And that could just be 5% of people in a vacuum of the echo chamber that is Twitter that makes people think it's important. When it's really not, because a lot of people don't think twice about this. So that's all I've got. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to leave those down in the comment section. I'll get back with you. If you enjoy the video, please hit the like and the subscribe button and the little notification bell if you want updates when new videos come out. And as always, thanks for being here. I appreciate you watching, and I'll see you guys next time.